In 1975, Elvis was at a car dealership in Memphis to buy a new Cadillac. While choosing his car, he noticed an elderly woman who was observing the cars with great interest, but with a sad expression. Elvis approached her and asked what she was looking at. The woman replied that she was simply daydreaming since she couldn't afford a new car. Without hesitation, Elvis decided to buy a Cadillac for her. The woman, incredulous and overwhelmed with emotion, burst into tears of joy. This spontaneous act of generosity became one of the most famous episodes in Elvis's life, demonstrating his generous nature and his desire to help others. His friend Jerry Schilling shared, Elvis was not only an extraordinary entertainer, but he also had a heart of gold. He loved to see the happiness in the eyes of the people he gifted. Elvis allegedly giving away over 200 Cadillacs during his career. Elvis Presley once said, "A live concert to me is exciting because of all the electricity that is generated in the crowd and on stage. It's my favorite part of the business, live concerts." On Margaret with her Danish landlady, Mrs. Jurgensen, and Elvis. On Margaret and Elvis stopped by to wish her a happy birthday. At Elvis's suggestion, Mrs. Jurgensen's husband, a sea captain, had just passed away, and Elvis wanted to cheer her up. On the 30th of November 1956, Elvis attended the Crump Memorial football game at the Crump Stadium in Memphis, Tennessee. This was a charity event to benefit blind people. Elvis' personal contribution to the charity was, he purchased 1,400 tickets for every Humes High School student so they could all attend the annual E.H. Crump Memorial football game for the blind. The total cost was $1,050. On one occasion, a girl ripped off a piece of his shirt. Elvis turned around and gave her the shirt off his back, well, the rest of it. Then on a separate occasion, when girls ripped off his jacket and one of his pant legs, he ended up tearing up what remained of his torn pants and throwing it into the audience. Would you have liked a souvenir of Elvis? Elvis arrived in Miami on August 3, 1956, for a few weeks of touring before heading to Los Angeles. Over 2 days, Elvis managed 7 shows at the Olympia Theater. It was after the 3:30 p.m. show his trousers got ripped to pieces by a fan. After the show, Elvis tore the rest of the trousers into small pieces that he threw out the window from his dressing room. Elvis shared, "I've been scratched and bitten and everything. I just accept it with a broad smile. They don't intend to hurt you. They just want a piece of you for a souvenir."
September 1955. Elvis performed at the Pontchartrain Beach Amusement Park in New Orleans, Louisiana to a crowd of 2,000. It's the second annual Red Smith WBOK Day. Disc jockey Red Smith brought Presley here as part of his WBOK Hillbilly Jamboree. Presley performed and helped judge the Miss Hillbilly Dumplin' Beauty pageant.
Elvis Presley on The Ed Sullivan Show, January 6, 1957. Elvis' third and final appearance on Sullivan's show on January 6, 1957, contains the legendary moments when the CBS censors would not allow his entire body to be shown. Seen only from the waist up, Elvis still put on an exciting show, singing 7 songs in 3 segments. Nancy Holloway and Elvis Presley. Paris, France, 1959. Elvis came in Paris, France during his military service for a few days. Nancy Holloway met him after her show. She was an American jazz, pop and soul singer and actress who was popular during the 1960s in France. She later visited Elvis in Hollywood on the set of Girls, Girls, Girls in 1962. Elvis Presley in Paris, France, June 17, 1959. Elvis' visit to Paris was an extraordinary event. He was drafted with the U.S. forces in Germany, but the capital city of France is the only place outside the United States that he went to on his own. And more surprisingly yet, he did so 3 times, in June and July 1959, then in January 1960. He will later often confide in his friends that these visits to Paris will always remain one of his best memories. Elvis posing in front of Graceland with his 1960 Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud that he bought on September 3, 1960 in Los Angeles. This car is on display at Graceland. Elvis history. September 4, 1972. Elvis in the backstage lounge of the showroom at the Las Vegas Hilton Hotel with members of the British fan club. This meeting was before the start of Elvis' 8:15 p.m. dinner show. Some of the fans pictured are Tony Prince, Rex Martin, Todd Slaughter, and Virginia Coons.
Elvis Presley performed at the Pan Pacific Auditorium in Los Angeles on October 28 and 29, 1957.
The photo was taken at Graceland in 1965. Elvis is pictured with Edward James Swetsky, a Polish man who was serving in the Air Force. Here is the story behind the photo. On the set of Frankie and Johnny,
Jim Swetsky first met Elvis in Hollywood, California in early 1965 when he was on a 3-week vacation with the Air Force. He decided to spend his vacation in Hollywood. After visiting several studios, he learned that his favorite star, Elvis Presley, was making the film Frankie and Johnny in the city. So he went to Goldwyn Studios in the hope that he would be able to take a look at Elvis, who was filming, but on the spot he learned that the plan is closed and neither fans nor tourists are allowed to enter its area. Fortunately, he saw the group of extras coming to the restaurant on the other side. Jim was never discouraged, so he went to the restaurant and started talking to one of the extras. He, seeing that Swetsky served his country and wanted to helped him get to the studio as a visiting cousin. Jim was incredibly lucky to sit in the studio and see Elvis make some numbers from the movie. That day, fortune followed Jim. Not only did he manage to get into the studio, but also talked to Elvis and several of his bodyguards. During the conversation, Elvis told Jim that, if he ever was around Graceland, he would be pleased if he stopped and came to say hello. About 6 months after this magical day, Jim Swetsky ended his service in Air Force and was released to civilian life. On the way back, when his bus stopped in Memphis, Jim remembered this special conversation with Elvis and went on a small trip to Graceland. At first, he was very discouraged seeing hundreds of fans gathered around the gates. He thought he would never get there, but he decided to approach the guard and asked him to provide details and dates of the meeting with Elvis in Hollywood. To his surprise, Elvis remembered, and so Jim was let through the gates to the estate where he met Elvis and his father, Vernon, outside the house. Vernon took this picture up, and after a short conversation and visit, Jim was on his way home with very special memories of meeting Elvis, the man. Jim said he saw the man behind his legend, who was a very nice, mundane man who loved to help others and enjoyed the simple little things in life.
Elvis playing piano.
Vernon, Gladys, and Elvis Presley sing at the piano. 1034 Audubon Drive, House, June 17, 1956. What song do you think Elvis playing?
September 13, 1957. Elvis went out to Memphis Municipal Airport to pick up Anita Wood, who arrived from Hollywood on an American airline.